The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors have been proudly serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class, and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At J.W. Williams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor, president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Miss Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Deacon Curtis Eli Parham of Araby, Georgia. The family of beloved coach and educator Deacon Harry B. Ward of Vienna, Georgia. The family of beloved educator Mrs. Ida Rose Clark Oliver of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Bishop Lim Wright of Smithfield, Georgia. The family of the infant Journey N. Hawkins of Unadilla, Georgia. Would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Deacon Curtis Eli Parham, age 84, of 150 East 4th Street, Araby, Georgia, died Wednesday, January 6th at his residence. The funeral service for Deacon Curtis Eli Parham was held Thursday, January 14th at the Atkins Cemetery graveside in Araby, Georgia. Bishop Arthur West, pastor of the Evangelistic Tabernacle Family Outreach Center, officiated. Survivors include his beloved daughters and his caregiver, Ms. Deborah Walker, and her husband, Mr. Frank Walker of Araby, Georgia, and Miss Laverne Moody of Stockbridge, Georgia. His beloved grandchildren, Mr. Antonio Walker and his wife, Mrs. Erica Walker of Indiana, Miss Keontae Walker of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Miss Charlotte Walker of Araby, Georgia, Mr. Antonio Moody and Mr. Enrico Moody, both of Stockbridge, Georgia. 6 beloved great-grandchildren. His beloved sister, Miss Meredith Wooten of Miami, Florida. A beloved brother, Mr. Rayford Parham of Miami, Florida. His sisters-in-law, Mrs. Geraldine Murphy and her husband, Mr. Curtis Murphy, and Mrs. Maggie Hillman, both of Ashburn, Georgia. His brother-in-law, Mr. Leon Johnson, and his wife, Mrs. Ruther Johnson of Albany, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends, to include his additional caregivers, the Pruitt Healthcare Hospice, Ms. Rita Corsi and Ms. Glenda Young survived. Deacon Curtis Eli Parham, age 84, of 150 East 4th Street, Arabi, Georgia. Beloved educator and coach, Deacon Harry B. Ward, age 87, of 715 East Pine Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Thursday, January 7th, at the Houston Medical Center in Warner Robins, Georgia. The funeral service for beloved educator and coach Deacon Harry B. Ward was held Friday, January 15, at the Harry B. Ward Memorial Track and Field in Vienna, Georgia. His pastor, Dr. Bobby G. West, pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church, officiated. The burial with Masonic rites followed at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Betty Cobb Ward of Vienna, Georgia, his beloved son, Deacon Terrence Ward, and his wife, Mrs. Glenda Ward of Vienna, Georgia, his beloved grandchildren, Ms. Robin Ward, Ms. Gabrielle Ward, Ms. Michael Ward, Mr. Darian Ward, Ms. Tyree Ward, Ms. Alexis Perkins, Ms. Dominique Carruthers, and Mr. Philip Ward Jones Ward, his great-grandchild, Mario Williams, his beloved sister, Mrs. Mamie McLeod of Bainbridge, Georgia, his sister-in-law, Ms. Louise Woods of Warner Robins, Georgia, his beloved nieces, Ms. Danielle Bester of Warner Robins, Georgia, Miss Sandra Ward of Bainbridge, Georgia, his beloved nephews, Mr. Jason Woods, Mr. Billy Ward, and his wife, Mrs. Edith Ward of Bainbridge, Georgia, and Mr. Roosevelt Ward and his wife, Mrs. Ruth Ward of Rochester, New York. His loving extended family, to include Miss Cicely Williams, Miss Avia Sheffield, Miss Sabrina Stutstill, Mr. Joseph Blight, Mr. David Barron, Mr. Leon Lester and family, Mr. Robert Williams, Ms. Rose Leggett, and Mr. James and Mrs. Pearl Thorpe of Vienna, Georgia. A host of friends, to include his special friend, Mr. Willie Davis, and a host of former students, former co-workers, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Beloved educator and coach, Deacon Harry B. Ward, age 87, of 715 East Pine Street, Vienna, Georgia. Beloved educator and Dean of the Congress of Christian Education of the Gum Creek Missionary Baptist Association, Mrs. Ida Rose Clark Oliver, age 93, of 614 West 17th Avenue, Cordell, Georgia, died Thursday, January 7th, at her residence in Cordell, Georgia. The funeral service for beloved educator and Dean of the Congress of Christian Education for the Gum Creek Missionary Baptist Association, Mrs. Ida Rose Clark Oliver, was held Friday, January 15, on the grounds of her beloved Mount Zion First African Baptist Church in Cordell, Georgia. The pastor, Dr. Dan James III, officiated. The burial followed at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordell, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mrs. Sandra P. Rogers of Albany, Georgia, Mr. Willie Frank Oliver Jr., and his wife, Mrs. Sheila Oliver, of East Point, Georgia, and Mrs. Jean Oliver Burks and her husband, Deacon James Burks of Ashburn, Georgia. Her loving and devoted grandchildren, Miss April Jackson of Morrow, Georgia, Mr. Darrell Rogers of Albany, Georgia, and Miss Angela Oliver of East Point, Georgia. Her beloved great-grandchildren, Miss Aniana Wilson of Morrow, Georgia, Mr. Jabron Rogers of Albany, Georgia. Her beloved nieces, Miss Barbara Wright of Tampa, Florida, Miss Shaquilla Brooms of Houston, Texas, Miss Lovett Renee Johnson, and Miss Cassandra Glenn of Cordele, Georgia, Miss Regina Lorraine Allen of Newton, Georgia, and Miss June Glover of Warner Robins, Georgia. Her beloved nephew, Mr. Reginald Johnson of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, Mr. Ray Oliver, Mr. Leonard Oliver, Mr. Clarence Williams, all of Tampa, Florida. A host of cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Beloved educator and dean of the Congress of Christian Education of the Gum Creek Missionary Baptist Association, Mrs. Ida Rose Clark Oliver, age 93, of 614 West 17th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Bishop Lim Wright, age 76, of 367 Richardson Road, Smithfield, Georgia, pastor of the Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church of Ellaville, Georgia, and the Montana Living Way of Christ Church of DeSoto, Georgia, died Saturday, January 9th at the Phoebe Putnam Memorial Hospital, North Campus, Albany, Georgia. The funeral service for Bishop Lim Wright, pastor of the Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church of Ellaville, Georgia, and the Montana Living Way of Christ Church of DeSoto, Georgia, was held Saturday, January 16, on the grounds of his beloved Montana Living Way of Christ Church in DeSoto, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Anthony Walker, officiated. The eulogy was delivered by his beloved daughter, Dr. Deanne Wright Hosley. The burial followed at the Montana Living Way Christ Cemetery. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mother Marie Brown Wright of Smithfield, Georgia. Two loving and devoted daughters, Dr. Deanne Wright Hosley of Cordele, Georgia, and Miss Marsha Wright Lane of Leesburg, Georgia. A beloved son, Mr. Timothy Dodson of Louisville, Kentucky. One son-in-law, Minister Johnny Hosley of Cordele, Georgia. One daughter-in-law, Mrs. Monica Dodson of Louisville, Kentucky. 14 beloved grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, one great-great-grandchild, a foster daughter, Miss Cynthia Johnson, 4 beloved and devoted sisters, Mrs. Virginia Chapman and her husband, Mr. Archie Chapman of Albany, Georgia, Mrs. Dorothy Sneed and her husband, Deacon Willie Sneed of DeSoto, Georgia, Mrs. Susie Blue and her husband, Sir Daniel Blue of Mullen, South Carolina, and Mrs. Emma Ruth Moore of Jersey City, New Jersey. 4 beloved brothers, Mr. Major Wright and Mr. Ronnie Wright of DeSoto, Georgia, Mr. Lewis Carter, his wife, Mrs. Constance Carter, Miami, Florida, and Mr. Jeremiah Carter and his wife, Mrs. Betty Carter of Browns Mills, New Jersey. 2 brothers-in-law, Mr. Melvin Brown and his wife, Mrs. Ruthie Brown of Flint, Michigan, and Mr. Clinton Williams Sr. of Miami, Florida. 4 beloved sisters-in-law, Mrs. Imogene Wright, Mrs. Verna Wright, and Mrs. Judith Wright, all of Jersey City, New Jersey, and Miss Shanika Brown of Homestead, Florida. One beloved uncle, Mr. Lonnie Floyd Jr. of Miami, Florida. One aunt, Mrs. Virginia Austin, and her husband, Mr. Willard Austin of Miami, Florida. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, friends, and his beloved Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church, Mount Anna Living Way of Christ Church, and New Beulah Baptist Church families survive. Bishop Lim Wright, age 76, of 367 Richardson Road, Smithfield, Georgia, pastor of the Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church of Ellaville, Georgia, and the Mount Anna Living Way of Christ Church of DeSoto, Georgia. Infant Journey in Hawkins of 263 Bogan Street, Unadilla, Georgia, died Monday, January 11th at the Houston Medical Center in Warner Robins, Georgia. The graveside funeral service for the Infant Journey in Hawkins was held Saturday, January 16 at the Evergreen Cemetery in Unadilla, Georgia. Survivors include her loving parents, Mr. Gregory Kraft Jr. and Miss Takira Hawkins, her beloved brother, Master Nolan Daniels of Unadilla, Georgia, her grandparents, Mr. Leon Hawkins Sr. of Unadilla, Georgia, and Mrs. Beverly Allen of Cordele, Georgia, her great-grandmother, Miss Alice Kinchin of Unadilla, Georgia, and Mother Melan Hawkins of Americus, Georgia, her beloved aunts and uncles, Miss Alicia Harold, Mr. Leon Hawkins Jr., Mr. Maurice Hawkins, all of Unadilla, Georgia, and Miss Brittany Allen of Cordele, Georgia. Host of cousins, other relatives, and family friends survive Infant Journey in Hawkins of 263 Bogan Street, Unadilla, Georgia. Again, the family of Deacon Curtis Parham of Araby, Georgia, the family of beloved coach and educator Deacon Harry B. Ward of Vienna, Georgia, the family of beloved educator and dean of the Congress of Christian Education of the Gum Creek Missionary Baptist Association, Mrs. Ida Rose Clark Oliver of Cordele, Georgia, the family of Bishop Lim Wright, pastor of the Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church of Ellaville, Georgia, and the Mount Anna Living Way of Christ Church of DeSoto, Georgia, the family of Infant Journey in Hawkins of Unadilla, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during the hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Miss Katina Keisha Allen, age 38, of 2810 Lofty Elm Street, Houston, Texas, died Sunday, January 10th at the Houston Northwest in Houston, Texas. Survivors include a living and devoted mother, Ms. Doris Allen of Houston, Texas. Her loving grandmother, Ms. Theodora Trice of Houston, Texas. Her godchildren, Cole Richardson of Hawkinsville, Georgia, and Kamari Chapel of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved sister, Miss Keandra Langford, and her husband, Mr. Johnny Langford of Houston, Texas. A god sister, Miss Brianna Oliver of South Carolina. Her beloved aunts and uncles, Miss Brenda Allen of Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Joel Dixon and Mrs. Jeanette Dixon, both of Fitzgerald, Georgia. Miss Nettie Holloman of Jonesburg, Georgia. Her beloved niece, Janiyah Langford, Jamara Langford, and Royal Gould, all of Houston, Texas. Her beloved cousins, Miss Stacy Williams, Mr. Fronte Allen, Miss Naisha Allen, Miss Deborah Dawson, Mr. Stantavius Dawson, Mr. Zamir Pickens, Miss Anastasia Allen, Miss Skylar Allen, Miss Talia Dawson, Mr. Kason Glee, Mr. Vincent King Jr., Mr. Kateria Barbara, Mr. Kelvin Cook, Mr. Javaris Cooks, Mrs. Kamari Pickens, all of Cordele, Georgia. Her godmother, Dr. Frankie Herman of Cordele, Georgia. A host of other relatives and many, many sorrowing friends, to include our special friends, Mr. Kwanzaa Works of Dallas, Texas, Miss Kenyatta Royal, Mr. Rennie Redding, and Miss Marquita Jackson, all of Cordele, Georgia. Survived Miss Katina Keisha Allen, age 38, of 2810 Lofty Elm Street, Houston, Texas. The funeral service for Miss Katina Keisha Allen, age 38, will be held today, Sunday, January 17th at 12 noon, graveside at the Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Her pastor, Pastor Lucille Montford, pastor of the Straight and Narrow Way Ministry, will officiate. Deacon Wayne Anthony Bailey, age 69, of 718 Meadow Drive, Cordele, Georgia, died Tuesday, January 12th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Catherine Bivens Bailey of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved son, Mr. Walter Rouse Jr. of Cordele, Georgia. 5 beloved grandchildren, his beloved and caring brothers, Mr. Wendell Toots and his wife, Mrs. Rita Toots of Jonesburg, Georgia. Mr. V. Totis Toots Jr. of Cordele, Georgia. Pastor Kenneth Toots Sr. and his wife, Mrs. Valerie Toots of Bon Air, Georgia. His beloved stepmother, Mrs. Lily D. Toots of Warner Robins, Georgia. His beloved stepsister, Miss Belinda Cheney, and her husband, Mr. Seagull Cheney of Gary, Georgia. Beloved stepbrothers, Mr. John A. Duhart III of Stone Mountain, Georgia. Mr. Eddie J. Duhart of Duluth, Iowa. Mr. Kenneth Duhart and his wife, Mrs. Amari Duhart of Douglasville, Georgia, and Mr. Norman V. Duhart of Indianapolis, Indiana. His beloved aunts and uncle, Mr. James Bailey of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Miss Lily Redding, Miss Lena Cross, Miss Minnie Kennedy, and Miss Clara McGill, all of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Jenny Kennedy of Atlanta, Georgia. His in-laws, Mr. Woodrow Bivens and his wife, Mrs. LaQuetta Bivens, Mr. Rufus Bivens, and Mr. Dale Bivens, all of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Helen Zachary and her husband, Mr. Perry Zachary of Albany, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Deacon Wayne Anthony Bailey, age 69, of 718 Meadow Drive, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Wayne Anthony Bailey, age 69, will be held Monday, January 18th at 12 noon, graveside at the Westview Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. His beloved brother and pastor, Pastor Kenneth Toots Sr., pastor of the Spirit Life Fellowship Church, will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be held today from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Miss Sabrina Burnett Robinson, age 65, 106 Smith Drive, Perry, Georgia, died Wednesday, January 13th at her residence in Perry, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Miss LaShondra Simmons and her husband, Mr. Michael Simmons of Macon, Georgia, Mr. James B. Hall Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Sherry Hall of Jonesboro, Georgia, Mrs. Ciandra E. Hall of Phoenix, Arizona, 19 beloved grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, her loving and devoted mother, Mrs. Gussie Lee Daniels of Vienna, Georgia, her beloved sister, Mrs. Loretta Clark, and her husband, Mr. Joe Clark of Vienna, Georgia, her beloved brothers, Mr. Kenneth J. Robinson and his wife, Mrs. Sharitha Robinson, and Mr. Willie B. Robinson, both of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Andre Robinson and his wife, Mrs. Yolanda Robinson of Americus, Georgia, her beloved uncles, Deacon Theodore Key of Centerville, Georgia, and Mr. Thomas Key and his wife, Mrs. Cheryl Key of Miami, Florida. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Miss Sabrina Burnett Robinson, age 65, 106 Smith Drive, Perry, Georgia. The funeral service and entombment for Miss Sabrina Burnett Robinson will be held Thursday, January 21st at 2 p.m. at the Glen Haven Cemetery in Macon, Georgia. Pastor Paul Little will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Wednesday, January 20th from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Miss LaShonda Faye McKenzie, age 45, of 417 Cedar Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Wednesday, January 13th at Purity Health in Macon, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted mother, Mrs. Helen Ruth Fuller Phillips of Vienna, Georgia, her loving and devoted daughter, Mrs. Shannon Hodrick of Vienna, Georgia. Two beloved nieces she reared as her own, Miss Corana Phillips and Mrs. Shoranna Phillips, both of Vienna, Georgia. Four beloved grandchildren, a beloved sister, Mrs. Sarah Fuller Brown of Cordele, Georgia, a beloved brother, Mr. Murphy Fuller of Atlanta, Georgia, her god sister, Mrs. Lakeisha Hardrick of Vienna, Georgia, a beloved aunt, Mrs. Vivian Brown of Cordele, Georgia, a host of cousins, to include a special cousin, Miss Carla Pringle of Cordele, Georgia, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends, to include Miss Kimberly Clark, Miss Jennifer Hubbard Clemens, Miss Angela Hunt, Miss Tracy Peterson, Miss Dewana Anderson, and Miss Erica Grace Sadai, Miss LaShonda Faye McKenzie, age 45, of 417 Cedar Street, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss LaShonda Faye McKenzie, age 45, will be held Friday, January 22nd at 12 noon, graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Pastor Vanessa Dobbins will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Thursday, January 21st from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. United States Army veteran, Mr. Willie B. Harvey, age 72, of 409 Dale Drive, Vienna, Georgia, died Friday, January 15, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Nadine Harvey of Vienna, Georgia, his loving children, Miss Felicia Simmons of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Mario Holmes of Warner Robins, Georgia, Mrs. Latoya McRae and her husband, Mr. Bobby McRae of Douglas, Georgia, Miss LaFrida Harvey of Savannah, Georgia, Miss Tiffany Harvey of Staleville, Georgia, Miss Veronica Goldwire, and Mrs. Mariana Bryant, both of Vienna, Georgia. 12 beloved grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, his loving sisters, Mrs. Shirley Lewis and her husband, Mr. Frank Lewis of Conyers, Georgia, and Miss Linda Cobb of Vienna, Georgia. A beloved uncle, Mr. James Bryant, and his wife, Mrs. Sheila Bryant of Maryland. His sisters-in-law, Mrs. Wendy Sparks of Jacksonville, Florida, Mrs. Inez Bivens and her husband, Mr. Carl Bivens of Vienna, Georgia, Miss Bobby Smith of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Brenda Waters and her husband, Mr. Darrell Waters of Jacksonville, Florida. His beloved brothers-in-law, Mr. Johnny Holmes and his wife, Mrs. Artie Holmes of Jacksonville, Florida, Mr. Eddie Holmes and his wife, Mrs. Josephine Holmes of Tampa, Florida, and Mr. Gary Holmes of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army veteran, Mr. Willie B. Harvey, age 72, of 409 Dale Drive, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran, Mr. Willie B. Harvey, age 72, will be held Saturday, January 23rd at 11 a.m., graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. The Reverend Charles Cobb Sr., pastor of the Free Providence Baptist Church, will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Friday, January 22nd from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors, serving Cordial and Vienna, are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your pre-funeral arrangements needs available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. And also whole life insurance is available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.
And now for our announcements. You're invited to worship at the New Poplar Springs Baptist Church today. Morning worship service begins at 9:45 a.m. this morning, and Wednesday evening service begins at 6:45 p.m. Remember, the conference call number to call in to worship with the New Poplar Springs Baptist Church is 253-993-3761. Again, that number is 253-993-3761. Pastor Johnny Dean is the pastor. The Crisp County School System will extend virtual learning for all students through Friday, January 22nd, 2021. Students who are scheduled for face-to-face instructions will return to campus on Monday, January 25th, 2021. This decision has been made with very careful considerations of all stakeholders and with the COVID-19 data from our local health department and Crisp Regional Hospital. We understand the concerns for our families as well as our staff. We have made this decision with all considerations in mind. Please understand, decisions such as these are not taken lightly and may not be convenient for everyone, but safety for all during this time of uncertainty is essential. We understand these decisions may create hardships and are disappointing to students and their families, but these are necessary measures to avoid potential spread within our schools and our communities. Given the circumstances, we have been very fortunate this school year and are appreciative of the support and dedication from everyone who made it possible. We are continuing to monitor the COVID-19 data to inform future decisions in order to make the best decisions for our community. School staff will continue to report to their assigned school and provide instruction and other daily tasks in order to be available to our students and parents. Our nutrition and transportation departments will continue working together to prepare and deliver meals daily during this extension of virtual learning for all students. Remember, any child between the ages of 2 and 18 is eligible for meals regardless of their enrollment status or residence. Thank you for your support, and this comes from Dr. Brandon Williams, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning at Student Services. And we just want to again remind all of us that are listening that all students will continue virtual learning through Friday, January 22nd, 2021, and as of now, we'll be prepared to return to face-to-face instructions on campus on Monday, January 25th, 2021. And let us use this time that we are doing virtual learning to continue in our homes to promote COVID-19 responsibilities. Let us talk about it and let us share with our children so that we can do everything we can to rid our community of this virus. The The Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church invites you to worship with them, and their conference call schedule is as follows. Sunday morning worship service at 9 o'clock a.m., Tuesday midday prayer conference at 12 o'clock noon, Thursday prayer meeting and Bible study at 6 o'clock p.m. The call-in number for the conference call is 229-329-7611. Again, that number is 229-329-7611. Mother Lucille Shazers, church mother. Deacon Arthur L. Parker is the chairman of deacons. Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. The Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church online worship service will be held this morning beginning at 10 o'clock a.m. on Facebook. Pastor Williams and the praise team and all the members of Emmanuel invite you to worship with them in their worship service today beginning at 10 o'clock a.m. on Facebook. Reverend Gregory Williams is the pastor. The Mount Zion First African Baptist Church conference call schedule is as follows. Sunday morning worship service at 10 o'clock a.m. Prayer meeting is held at 12 o'clock noon on Wednesdays, and Bible study worship service is held Wednesdays at 5 o'clock p.m. The conference call-in number is 515-604-9765. The access code is 288180. Again, the conference call-in number is 515-604-9765. The access code is 288180. And I encourage you to check with the pastor or any members of Mount Zion for any further updates that they might have regarding their worship service. Deacon Joe Wedges is the chairman of deacons. Dr. James III is the pastor. The Gethsemane Baptist Church invites you to worship with them with their Sunday morning worship service, which begins at 10:30 a.m. via Zoom. The public call-in number is 312-626-6799. The meeting ID number is 817-597-90075. The pass code is 751054. And Bible study is held each Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. via conference call, and that number is 229-234-9066. And I encourage you to check with any member of Gethsemane for these numbers as well. Brother Cecil Straughter is the pastor. The Cornel Crisp Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance invites you to worship and share with them in an hour of prayer each third Sunday this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. for a time of community prayer for our nation, as well as we continue to deal with COVID-19, this COVID-19 pandemic. And today also we encourage you to join us as we will be having special prayer for our nation as we prepare for the inauguration service of our President-elect Joseph R. Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. So we encourage you to join us this evening at 6 o'clock p.m. The call-in number is 657-390-4570. Again, that number is 657-390-4570. Pastor Johnny Dean is the host. We would also like to share with you tomorrow, as we honor the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as a day of service, we encourage all of our community, while we will be not having a march tomorrow, that we encourage you to share and make it a day of service by truly doing whatever you can to help others within our community as we commemorate his life and celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The local chapter of the Cornel Crisp NAACP encourages you to make this a day of service, that we might be able to help those in our community who stand in need. That concludes our announcements for today.
And now for dedication. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: in loving memory of Sister Mamie Rose Royal, who departed this life January 12, 2012, and would have celebrated her birthday January 18. Dedication requested by the royal family and all of the members of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church, which has served so faithfully for many years. Pastor Dr. K.M. Williams, Deacon Tommy Ford Jr., and Mother Lucille Shazer, and the entire membership remember the life and service of Sister Mamie Rose Royal, gone but not forgotten. A loving member, Mrs. Carrie Clay, who departed this life January 14, 1997. Dedication requested by her beloved daughter, Mrs. Edna Clay, the grandchildren, and the entire family. Precious memory lingers still. A loving memory of Mother Hattie Mathis, who would have celebrated her birthday January 15. Dedication requested by her beloved daughter, Dr. Ruby Jackson, and the entire Mathis family, and all of the members of the Spring Hill Baptist Church. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory, Mrs. Jessie Lee Glenn, who departed this life January 16, 2002. Dedication requested by her children, Joanne, Charles, Calvin, and Alvin, and her beloved grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory, Miss Regina Denard, who departed this life January 18, 1964. Dedication requested by the Denard and Jones family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory, Mrs. Eva Pearl Mathis Gaston, who would have celebrated her birthday January 18. Dedication requested by the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory, Mrs. Mary McCray, who departed this life January 20, 1987. Dedication requested by the Lofton and Mays family. Precious memory lingers still. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Happy birthday. Send out happy second birthday to Master Michael Farrell, who celebrated his birthday Saturday, January 9th. Happy birthday to Mrs. Kimberly Felton, who celebrated her birthday Saturday, January 9th. Happy birthday to Mrs. Mary Helen Collier Williams, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, January 14. Happy birthday to Sister Florence James, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, January 14. Happy birthday to Mr. Pete Dennis, who celebrated his birthday Friday, January 15. Happy birthday to our beloved Deacon Sammy McGill, Chairman of the Board of Deacons of the Mount Moriah Baptist Church of Warwick, Georgia. Celebrated his birthday Saturday, January 16. Happy birthday to Mr. Willie Lee Colson, who celebrated his birthday Saturday, January 16. Happy birthday to Mr. Benjamin Carter, who will celebrate his birthday Monday, January 18. And happy birthday to Mr. Tyrone Fletcher, who will celebrate his birthday Wednesday, January 20th. Happy birthday to Miss Deborah Johnson Pless, who is celebrating her birthday on today. Dedication from her husband, Deacon Kelvin Pless, and the entire family. Happy birthday to Mrs. Ellen Bryant Lakeler, who celebrated her birthday Saturday, January 16. Dedication requested by her beloved family. And special birthday wishes goes out in my house to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Billy Ann Hall, who celebrated her birthday on yesterday, January 16, with her daughter Calandra, Jai, Rent, and myself. The big family gathering last night. Happy birthday and many more. Happy birthday to our beloved Mrs. Annette Sanders, who will celebrate her birthday Thursday, January 21st. It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Ms. Katina Keisha Allen, age 36, of 2810 Lofty Elm Street, Houston, Texas, died Sunday, January 10th at Houston Northwest Medical in Houston, Texas. The funeral service for Ms. Katina Keisha Allen, age 36, will be held today, Sunday, January 17th at 12 noon, graveside at Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Her pastor, Pastor Lucille Montfort, pastor of the Straight and Narrow Way Ministries, will officiate. Deacon Wayne Anthony Bailey, age 69, of 718 Meadow Drive, Cordell, Georgia, died Tuesday, January 12th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordell, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Wayne Anthony Bailey, age 69, will be held Monday, January 18th at 12 noon, graveside at the Westview Cemetery in Cordell, Georgia. His beloved brother and pastor, Pastor Kenneth Tooks Sr., pastor of the Spirit Life Fellowship Church, will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be held today from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Miss Sabrina Burnett Robinson, age 65, of 106 Smith Drive, Perry, Georgia, died Wednesday, January 13th at her residence in Perry, Georgia. The funeral service and entombment service for Miss Sabrina Burnett Robinson, age 65, will be Thursday, January 21st at 2 p.m. at the Glen Haven Cemetery in Macon, Georgia. Pastor Paul Little will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Wednesday, January 20th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Miss LaShonda Faye McKenzie, age 45, of 417 Cedar Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Wednesday, January 13th at Pruitt Health in Macon, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss LaShonda Faye McKenzie, age 45, will be held Friday, January 22nd, 12 noon, graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Pastor Vanessa Dobbins will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Thursday, January 21st from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. United States Army veteran Mr. Willie B. Harvey, age 72, of 709 Dale Drive, Vienna, Georgia, died Friday, January 15th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordell, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran Mr. Willie B. Harvey, age 72, will be held Saturday, January 23rd at 11 a.m. graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. The Reverend Charles Cobb Sr., pastor of the Free Providence Baptist Church, will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Friday, January 22nd from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordell and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our program this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Deacon Curtis Eli Parham of Arabi, Georgia. The family of beloved coach and educator Deacon Harry B. Ward of Vienna, Georgia. The family of beloved educator and dean of the Congress of Christian Education of the Gum Creek Missionary Baptist Association, Mrs. Ida Rose Clark Oliver of Cordell, Georgia. The family of Bishop Lim Wright of Smithfield, Georgia, pastor of the Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church of Ellaville, Georgia, and the Martha Living Way of Christ Church of DeSoto, Georgia. The family of the Infant Journey N. Hawkins of Unadilla, Georgia. This election is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of Miss Christina Keisha Allen of Houston, Texas, and Cordell, Georgia. The family of Deacon Wayne Anthony Bailey of Cordell, Georgia. The family of Miss Sabrina Burnett Robinson of Perry, Georgia. The family of Miss LaShonda Faye McKenzie of Vienna, Georgia. the family of United States Army veteran, Mr. Willie B. Harvey of Vienna, Georgia. This election is dedicated to all of the sick and shut-in, to all patients at the local and surrounding hospitals, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, to our beloved ministers and their devoted family members, to all retired educators, to the men and women serving in our armed forces, both stateside and abroad, to all veterans, and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, goes out to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, to my son, Jai Wilkerson Parker. This election goes out to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Billy Ann Hall, again, who celebrated her birthday on yesterday. Happy birthday, and many, many more. To my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, and his wife, sister, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and to Noble, and to Toria. Hope she's feeling well this morning. To my sister, Miss Madam A. Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, and Mrs. Patsy Jackson, her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson, of Cordele, Georgia. This election goes out to my nephew, Deacon Kenneth Smith, program chairman of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church. Our pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, pastor of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church and moderator of the Gum Creek Missionary Baptist Association. And again, invite you to worship this morning by way of conference call and Facebook Live this morning at 9 a.m. And our youth will be in charge of the opening service. Jai Parker will open up with him, and MJ, my nephew, with that good name, will open up with prayer this morning. So please tune in this morning for worship service and the message by the pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams. This election goes out to his wife, Sister Kathy Williams, and to their son, the Reverend Christopher Williams, pastor of the Antioch Baptist Church of Cuthbert, Georgia. Our selection this morning goes out to Evangelist Dorothy Sims Williams, prayer warrior of Albany, Georgia, and Americus, Georgia. This selection goes out to my cousin, Brother Alfred Wright, of Albany, Georgia, and Deacon Emery Wright and the entire Wright family, to Deacon Oscar Cooks and family of Leesburg, Georgia, chairman of the Board of Deacons of the Friendship Baptist Church, my cousin, Deacon Frank Mays and family. Our selection goes out to Deacon James Smith and family, Deacon Joey Clark and family, and the Fuller family of DeSoto, Georgia, and to Mother Easter Byram and family, and Mother Theron Jones, my neighbor, and the entire Jones and Talbot family, and Ms. Dorothy Talbot and family, Mr. Johnny and Ms. Juanita Talbot and family, and the entire Talbot.
Yes, I'm going to walk. Oh, that will keep my way. Oh, child.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning.
Well,
In your time of need, contact the competent, capable, and dependable staff at the J.W. Williams Smith.
oh, some of these days. Well, I'm going to walk and take my stand.
At Colony Banking Cordial, to protect the health and safety of our customers, communities, and